Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Eliel. In this incarnation, I am here today to talk about the energies of this next week from October 27th until November 2nd. We are beginning a new month and we are at the end of this 2025. So this week, we have two important tendencies. In first place, planets perfecting the grand trine of water has been active since the last week, because Mercury has been doing these same movements. Mercury continues in orb of participation until October 29th. I'm going to explain in a minute why. And on the other side, we are beginning to have activations with Uranus. And from this, we're going to expand later in the next video of the full moon in Taurus of the following week, because Uranus is going to be very, very present in that event and along the whole month of November. So these imply movements, cosmos bringing these changes, unexpected changes to our lives that are bringing a breakthrough from a previous dynamic. So the grand trine of water, it is formed when planets in Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio are connecting. I'm going to mention the days where they are perfecting, but we have to understand this as active the whole week and operating together the whole week. Okay, October 28th, Mars in Scorpio perfects trine with Jupiter in Cancer. This is already, we are feeling this already. As I said, Mercury did this days ago, and it is still there. This means that there are very deep emotional processes. We could have this assimilation of old experiences, because Cancer, it is very linked with situations of the past, in which we can make this resignification of what we have transited. We can find a new sense, in a way that we can actually produce expansion in our lives. We could find new forms of emotional stability that later we can project, that growth towards the outside, whether this is at home, in the family you want to create, in the relationships that you feel familiar, or in projects that you actually feel they are nourishing you. There is this capacity to understand the roots from which we are coming, what we have absorbed from our primary environment, and how we create certain experiences. I mean, the unconscious patterns and the imbalances that could have been emerged from conditionings, and right now taking directions, which is Mars, decisions of growth. Also, this expansion could be seen as could have to do with learnings, whether these are experimental or acquiring information, but the impact, it is not only from an intellectual or mental space. It is something that is touching intimate fibers. So we can apply this to our processes. Everything is calling us to depth and making decisions of how we are managing what is happening inside. I'm going to put an example in here. Perhaps a person that is realizing that waiting for the worst thing in every situation is response of the nervous system, that a learned response, because perhaps we went through traumatic situations and we want to be prepared for whatever thing can happen. And this ends up configuring ourselves to not feel well with whatever thing we are going through, because if we have to deal with a challenging situation, then we look up for the tools to do that. So being aware of those kind of perceptions and redirect the energy is in fact a decision. And I remind you that these changes are not minor things. These have a very important impact in the long term. In fact, the next day, October 29th, Mars is perfecting the trine with Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Also with Neptune, this is going to be perfected later. And at the same time, both of them are connecting with Jupiter in Cancer. Therefore, this could represent this great contact with intuition that is guiding us towards people, spaces, knowledge, and paths that are impulsing this expansion. And again, we are experimenting this more than ever as an inner change that could be reflected on the outside. Perhaps you are already seeing the reflection on the outside if you have been doing this work, or could be feeling this inner shelter, the fact that we are creating that and knowing that we can feel sustained if we are really aligning with constructions linked with the soul, what strengthen the faith in the process. I don't know if I said that word correctly. Okay, October 29th, Mercury in Scorpio perfects the trine with Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Mercury is the planet of exchange of information, the way we are communicating, and the way we receive information too. So if you practice forms of art, this is a very nice trine because opens up, this space for inspiration, for imagination, to create things that could be very transformative, not only for oneself, but also for the people that we are in touch with. And well, not only this is about a creativity, could be a conversation, could be a specific words, could be a phrase that is opening up a new sensitive perception of reality. So it is a very, very nice transit. But this same day, Mercury moves to Sagittarius. And here we have something important, because in this first instance, it is going to do so until November 9th, because that day starts the retrogradation. The retrogradation ends up with Mercury returning to Scorpio. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to tell you why later in another video, but I wanted to remind you that everything that we have been experimenting from October 21st until this date, November 9th, is going to be re-evaluated. Decisions, investments, all of these things. So they are not set in a stone. They are not written in a stone, whatever thing you can decide perhaps in these days. Okay. And at the moment that Mercury enters Sagittarius, it is going to make an opposition with Uranus retrograde in Gemini. This opens the doors for unexpected changes, disruptive situations that are coming, hand in hand with the next lunation. Mercury in Sagittarius has this tendency to think big, to see things in panoramic views, to be interested for ideas and forms of thought that could add, expansion to that vision. And that could have purpose. Purpose is very important for this Mercury. Shares with the complementary axis, which is Gemini, and one of the domiciles of Mercury, this thirst for knowledge. But also is a Mercury that can overlook details, both at the moment that we have to communicate or while we are receiving information, and this could bring difficulties. Also, honesty, which is a characteristic of Sagittarius, could be something positive or not. This depends on the intentions. This is something that I explained many times before. There could be people that are throwing, comments that could be very destructive, and it is their truth, it is their opinion, but they are not doing that with intention of contributing with anyone, nor with themselves. It is usually the lack of purpose what makes us not being able to find a direction of growth to invest our energy. But, well, we can learn even though of those things, of those circumstances, if we are receiving those kind of comments. But we can also share what we consider the truth. Let's say that the truth is parting from a perception that each one of us has, to amplify horizons and to exchange ideas. I am saying this because the shadow of this Mercury is fanatism. Also, Mercury in Sagittarius could have this tendency to talk too much, to say things that are not going to have a real application, these promises, these big promises that later are not able to be accomplished. So that is important. And with the opposition with Uranus retrograde in Gemini, could be information, news that are suddenly changing totally our perception that we had of the truth. They could bring this breakthrough again of something that we believed before. Also could be like communicating something, having a specific conversation, and that the impact of that, it is not the one that we expected. Things are taking a direction that we didn't see coming. Also could be disruptive situations regarding communication and technology, also because of the pre-retrograde shadow of Mercury. Anyways, these are ways of awakening, to see things in a different form, even if this brings discomfort, or having to approach changes that are in our experience to flow with the innovation that life is proposing us. The more flexible we are, the less resistance. So on October 30th, Mercury in Sagittarius perfects this sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. This is active from the moment that Mercury enters in the sign. And this aspect could be linked with facing those changes with the opposition as an opportunity of liberation of something. Could be an opportunity of taking the power of how we are going to respond to those situations and to move forward and to look at things with optimism, which is a virtue also of Mercury in Sagittarius. So important to know again that because we are at the doors of retrogradation, whatever thing that is being opened right now, it is going to require a process. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.